Is what you should not do if you are looking to buy a home in 2025. Your worst case scenario is to go on Zillow and look in your area and look at that little pie chart that shows what like the monthly amount would be, that you probably often when you look at it are like, what the hell does half of that stuff even mean? But you see that number and you're like, yeah, okay, cool, I can do that. And then you click the button that says request to view the property. Okay. And then what it does is somebody from Zillow calls you, an agent calls you, and they say, hey, let's go look at this. And you meet and you sign paperwork to go into the home, and then you look at the house. And let's say you really like the house, and then you realize, oh shoot, okay, well, like now we have to figure out if we can even buy this house. That is literally the worst case scenario every single time. I say this as a home financing strategist and a mortgage lender almost every single time that I have a client go through that process. Number one, they end up meeting that agent in person. And a lot of the time people end up signing an agreement, and now they're forced to work with an agent that maybe they don't actually love, or like they don't really enjoy the interaction, but they weren't understanding like what they were signing. The other thing is that now they have a false expectation of what that home actually costs, because y'all, very, very, very few people put 20% down right now on a home purchase. And when you go on Zillow, that's typically the default is 20% down. So right from the get-go, you're like being told inaccurate information. A lot of the time also in Zillow, the property taxes that they quote are not correct. The home insurance that they put on there are not correct. And so you end up with a really false expectation of what is going to happen when it comes to purchasing. Now, here is what an ideal world you do when it comes to purchasing. And this is also the step-by-step process that I provide my clients when we work together. So first of all, number one, this is also, it's always like blows my mind. An agent cannot help you if you cannot finance a home. So unless you are a cash buyer, if you're a cash buyer, this does not apply to you, but most people are not. Most people are not cash buyers. Most people need to finance a home. So a real estate agent is there to put in an offer and negotiate on your behalf to purchase said home. But if the way that you purchase said home is through financing and you have not been pre-approved to purchase the home, it's literally a waste of everyone's time. So the proper process that you should be following is, number one, you talk with a mortgage lender or a person like myself who is a financing professional who will then tell you and run through the process. Now, another big thing, the way that I personally help my clients is that we start off with your ideal monthly payment, and then we backtrack into what home price you should be looking at to ensure that that is possible. This is also super personalized, because the reality is that somebody who lives like on the south part of Florida is going to have a way different situation and market than somebody who lives in the middle of Maryland. Okay. Different markets have different home prices. There's different insurance. There's different property taxes. Like everything is different. So the first thing, if you even get the itch, is what I call it, the Zillow itch. If you get the Zillow itch, the first thing you need to be doing, y'all, do not go and walk through these homes. I swear to God, you're going to hurt your own feelings. Chat with a financing professional. There is no cost. I think also a lot of the time when I kick off with people, I have a very thorough process that I run through, and a lot of my clients are like, okay, well, what does that cost? There is no cost. Like I get paid, any lender gets paid, just like real estate agent, at the end of the transaction. So when you purchase a home, that is actually how I get paid through my organization. You don't actually like out of your checkbook write me a check or anything. So that's like, first of all, number one, you need to talk with a financing professional first to set the tone and to actually tell you what the numbers look like, and also to tell you what you are approved for, y'all. Credit score is a huge thing. What are you doing for work? How long have you been doing that? Do you have any savings set aside? What is the actual cash to close going to look like for you to be able to purchase this home? If you have no idea about any of the numbers and you're like out in the town looking at homes, I promise you, you are going to be, you need to look at the numbers first. Okay. Same thing with a car, which that's like a whole other conversation, but get your numbers looked at and reviewed and put in place first. Now, this is the process I follow with my clients. So a lot of people I work with, we meet right here on this app. We chat, we create a plan, we look at your numbers, we look at what you want to spend monthly, we create a plan, okay? And when you get to the point that you're like, okay, cool, like I actually am ready to move forward, we do what's called an underwritten pre-approval. Especially in the market that we are in right now, what you want to be able to do when you do, like when we are at this point, is you want to have a document that when you submit an offer, it verifies and solidifies that you have been thoroughly reviewed and that you are actually good to go, thumbs up, like you are completely pre-approved. Pre-qualification basically is as useful as pre-qualification is nothing. There's no value to it. A pre-approval is where an individual person reviews your info, and based on what they can see and running it through like an automated system, they're getting like a thumbs up and they say, okay, cool, you're pre-approved. An underwritten pre-approval is when that first process is complete, but then so like when I do an underwritten pre-approval, I actually submit your full file to the underwriters. That's where normally problems are to come up. I submit your file to the underwriters. They then review your file in completion, and then they confirm this looks good. Yes, we're good to go. Thumbs up. This is an underwritten pre-approval. I, quite frankly, like how I operate is that is the standard for all of my clients. We only move forward and we only put in offers with underwritten pre-approval. Honestly, too, especially if you live in a competitive market, you are literally doing yourself a disservice to not do this. So just FYI, like specifically for a lot of my clients that are in Maryland, Virginia, parts of Virginia, DC area, Pennsylvania, like those pockets that are really hot, especially when there's still like multiple offers happening, an underwritten pre-approval, y'all, should be like the expectation. Like you should have nothing less than that when you put in an offer. Okay, so work with your lender, blah, blah, blah. They do your underwritten pre-approval. So what I do with all of my clients is I actually personally interview and match make them with a top performing buyer's agent in the city that they are looking to buy in. Why I do this is that I personally believe that given the state and that for a lot of places we are in a buyer's market, I want to make sure that the person that once we've come up with like our numbers and we know what our plan is, I want there to then be somebody on the delivery side of that who understands the plan and who then is going to have strong negotiation power to be able to ensure that the plan financially that we've put together is something that is properly executed. I have access to systems on the back end that shows production. I can see what numbers people have actually produced, because often I think most consumers, they can't actually tell the difference between someone who has done zero volume and who has done a ton of volume. I also typically tend to pair my people up with agents directly, not huge teams, to ensure that like we have a very personalized experience. And so that is something I do for my clients. When we're done with our underwritten pre-approval, I basically confirm with them like what matters to you, what character traits do you care about, like what do you like really value? And then I go and personally find a good fit in the specific area that you are buying in to ensure that we have like a really strong and cohesive team moving forward when it comes to purchasing a home. So y'all, if you are like slapsticking this together, like if you're going on Zillow and like clicking a button and then that's who your agent is, and then a lot of people also don't realize this, if that person then says, oh yeah, use this person, use this lender, so-and-so, and you're not actually doing your own due diligence and like going out and like looking for somebody who feels like a good fit for you, you literally have just like a wild ass team that's not really a team, probably two individual people who you haven't actually done any like background and research and due diligence on. So if you are looking to buy this year, I would just highly advise that like you take the professionals that you hire really seriously. I think that a lot of people think that, you know, oh, I'm just going to like Google and find the cheapest lender. Okay. You give that a go and let me know how that goes. In general, what matters are people that are professional, competent. They often are like, this is my business. Like, this is what I do for a living. I treat this very seriously. I have processes and systems and like a team, and the way that I do things is very, very intentional. That's often very different also than like massive company where they have a bunch of salaried employees and after 5 o'clock, they don't really give a shit what happens, right? Like they'll deal with you on Monday. That is why your lender and your real estate agent together can literally be a make or break for your experience. So before you get the Zillow itch and you go off and just like somehow end up with like who knows, Joe Schmo real estate agent who's never done a transaction, and a lender that like you never have a personal connection with, please do your due diligence, because I am telling you, it can make your experience a dream or a total shit show.